6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We're going live.
We'll do it live.
Yeah.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, folks? We are live. Join me for these every Wednesday and Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. But if you can't make it, that's what the replays are for. Before we get too far into this, let's start off with some housekeeping. Be sure to let's see here. Here we go. Like, subscribe, hit those notifications, drop a comment. Any comment will do in the live chat. That'd be great if you're watching live, and then after the replay, down below. I don't really care what you comment. You know what? People on YouTube are assholes. People, especially in my shorts. Man, I get some of the biggest assholes on this show. It's funny. Oh man, have I think I've already demonetized. I've already demonetized by saying the A word. I was watching a YouTube channel yesterday, and they were talking about the new rules on YouTube, and it's you can't say bad words within the first 8 minutes, and I already messed this up. So help me out with that. Send a super chat. If you have any questions. Actually, I'm not really paying attention to the comments that much as I'm streaming, so the super chats tend to stand out. And check this out. So I've been on a bunch of live streams lately, and what I realized is that people like sound drops when they send a super chat. So check this out. If you send a super chat, I will play this now. Yeah. I was like, what can I play that people don't have a drop for already? So pimpin' ain't easy it is. All right. Follow me on social media if you don't already. Either at Come On Man Pod or at Come On Man Podcast. I'm trying to build up my Instagram though. Yeah, so follow me over there. I think Instagram for me it's my favorite platform right now. They don't treat me like absolute crap. People actually get to see my stuff over there. It's weird. It's nice. It's kind of nice. Join the Patreon. Patreon.com/ComeOnManPod. You could join for as little as $10. And if you join, then you get the Monday episodes, my flagship show, I guess, as it were. And you get those ad free. So you don't get the intro and the outro. You don't get this kind of stuff, right? Where I'm talking about joining the Patreon. You're already on the Patreon, so you don't need to hear that. So you can jump on that. It's only $10. You get all those episodes ad free. And then you also get added to the beer credits at the end of Monday's shows. And then, if you want support with something, like if you're struggling with dating or whatever, I have a guy who's just struggling with just his normal social life, being social. So I have him out going to bookstores and coffee shops and just chatting people up, and he's been doing great with that. So next month we're going to level up a little bit and actually have him require something of people. Because what he's really trying to do is build up his friends circles. So it's not just dating. I don't just help people out with dating. That's one of the things that I help people with. So if you want any of that kind of stuff, you have to join tier 2 or tier 3, and they're pretty affordable. If you look at some of these other coaching programs out there, mine's probably the most affordable one because I'm new to this and I'm dumb. I don't charge people enough money. Get on the email list, guys. If you haven't done so already, get on the email list. There's a big problem in this space, the red pill space, where people get deplatformed for whatever reason. And I don't even put out that bad of stuff. I don't think anyway. But people get offended and they kick us off their platforms or they shadow ban us. If you look at Paul Benjamin from Apex Mindset, he's been in this space for a long time, and now no one's getting his notifications anymore on YouTube because they're totally messing with him. And the thing is, we don't control these platforms, right? So if one day your favorite content creator could be gone and you won't even realize it. 6 months might go by and you'll be like, I haven't seen anything from that guy. I wonder why. This is why, because we get deplatformed. So if you get on our email lists, we can at least contact you when something like that happens. All right, check out my new Practical Law of Attraction course, loa.comeonmanpod.com. I remove all the chick crack from it, all the magical thinking, and teach you how to reprogram your subconscious mind so you can achieve goals so big it will blow your mind. In fact, on Friday's live stream, I'm actually going to be talking about the process I used that got me to Rule Zero. Now, some of you guys might not think that, getting on Rule Zero is that big of a deal, but for me, it was. For me, like being able to work with guys like Rollo Tomasi and Ryan Stone and Paul Benjamin, just having them on my show, interviewing them earlier last year was a big deal for me. But when I was like, you know what, I'd like to be on Rule Zero, right? So I made that a goal, and then I put these principles in place, and now I'm on Rule Zero. In fact, I wasn't just a guest on Rule Zero. My first time I was on Rule Zero, they let me host it. So the stuff works, guys. I will talk to you guys about that on Friday. And with that being said, let's play a quick commercial for that course, and then we'll get into the topics at hand today. What if I told you you can have anything you want? More money, a bigger house, hotter women. Would you believe me? If your answer is no, you need to ask yourself why you think that way. What's holding you back? I can tell you right now, it's a self-limiting belief that's holding you back. Your paradigm or the way you see the world is holding you back. What if I told you that I can teach you how to change your paradigm? I just finished my course on the practical law of attraction. You may have heard of the law of attraction, but have dismissed it as magical thinking or woo-woo nonsense. Well, it's not. The law of attraction is real, but it's not magic. At the end of the day, it comes down to your mindset. And my course will teach you how to reprogram your mindset so that you can achieve anything that you want in this world. And the first 50 people that use the coupon code in the description will get 15% off. If you want more out of this life, if you want to achieve bigger goals, if you want to achieve goals so big that they will blow your mind, then this is your sign. Sign up for my course at loa.comeonmanpod.com. That's loa.comeonmanpod.com. The law of attraction is nothing without action. So what are you waiting for? Act now. All right. The last time I checked, if you go in the description, you can click on the link for that, and there's a coupon code there. But the last time I checked, there was only 8 spots left. So if you've been thinking about trying this course out, get on it before that coupon code's gone. It's probably going to be gone by the end of the week. All right. So this episode, we want to talk about red flags. And what got me thinking about it is I'm reading this book, right? This is Dr. Robert Glover's 3rd book. If you guys didn't know, he had a 3rd book. And it's called Dating Essentials for Men, FAQ, right? So it's a companion book to his 2nd book, Dating Essentials for Men, which if you guys have been following my show for a long time, Dating Essentials for Men is one of my holy trinity books, right? It's one of the 3 books that I've listened to on repeat that helped me out in the dating circuit. So a lot of the stuff that I talk about, I'm one of those guys that'll fully admit it, right? Like none of my stuff's original. I got all my stuff basically from Corey Wayne, Dr. Robert Glover, and Christopher Canwell. And I give those guys credit all the time. I'm not trying to play it off like it's my work. So because there's a lot of guys in this space that are like, oh, I innovate, I don't regurgitate. And it's like, do you though? Because a lot of this stuff is really just rebranded or repackaged stuff that's already been out there for years. Rich Cooper just did a show on the Mana Swamp, as he calls it, and he basically was saying the same thing. Like none of the stuff is original. People 10,000 years ago were probably gathered around the campfire talking about how to get pussy, and they were swapping notes. So yeah, none of this is original. So anyway, long story short, in this book, one thing I will say about this book is I wouldn't normally recommend it, right? Like it's not it's not like a must read. It's good though. There's a lot of great information. But if you are doing any kind of date coaching or relationship coaching, you should check out this book because what it is it's questions and answers, right? From Dr. Robert Glover teaching his course on dating essentials for men for I think it was a period of about 8 years. He gathered people's questions and his responses to those questions and packaged it all in here. So if you're a coach and there's something that one of your clients asks you and you're not quite sure how to respond to that, he's got this whole book on his questions and responses. You can look at how he handled it and see if that resonates with you or not. So I think it's good for that. Other than that, there's little tidbits in here that weren't covered in Dating Essentials for Men, or they were loosely covered, I would say. And another thing is, if you read Richard Cooper's book, Richard Cooper also has an entire chapter on red flags, and his flags are totally different. So the funny thing about red flags is that they're totally subjective. They're totally subjective, right? Like one of the Rich Cooper's red flags is a chick with tattoos, and like I've never had a problem with chicks with tattoos. And, I don't think that necessarily says anything about the person in general. In fact, like since I've been back on the dating circuit after my divorce, and then, again, the second time in 2019, I've yet to find a chick that doesn't have tattoos. You know what I mean? Like their tattoos are so common, to rule out any chicks with tattoos is you're really thinning out your options there. So I really liked Dr. Glover's list of his potential red flags. Even some of these are questionable too. So I wanted to just sort of go through these with you guys. And if you guys are in the chat and you want to chime in on whether you think this is a red flag for you, or if you think it's kind of a dumb one, let me know. Hey, what's up, Thor? My man. All right. So I gotta say, so George Bruno's apparently listening, but we do have this guy named Billy that follows all of us in the Rule Zero group. So I never quite am sure if they're the real person or not. So if that's the real George Bruno, nice to virtually meet you, sir. All right. So the first one, she drinks too much or uses drugs. What do you think? If you guys are in the chat right now, that's a good red flag, right? I'm someone that likes to casually drink, I think lately I've been drinking too much. I should probably cut that out, but yeah, I mean, like, man, there was a chick, if you go back to my early episodes, I have a show called A Tale of Two Train Wrecks. The audio's terrible then, right? Like I had like the cheapest mic, and but if you could go back and listen to the crappy audio and tolerate it, I have an episode on The Tale of Two Train Wrecks, and one of the train wrecks was this chick that got blackout drunk on the first date that I went out with her. She drank a bunch of wine and was just sloppy drunk, and I sort of was like, this might be a problem, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So for a second date, I invited her back to my place because that was my go-to, and brought her back here, and she got so drunk, man. Oh, look at this $5 super chat from my boy Thor. Hey Thor, you get this, man. You know what I'm talking about. Thanks, Thor. I appreciate it, man, for the Rule Zero cause. So yes, this chick got so blackout drunk. So I gave her a second date. She came over here. It just got completely wasted at my house. And she got so drunk that I didn't want to send her home because I knew she was going to wrap her car around a telephone pole or something like that. But I also wasn't going to, stick my dick in crazy. So she slept out on the couch that night. All right. The second one here is she flirts a lot and needs male attention. I would agree with that. If you got a girl that is super flirty with other dudes, maybe she's out on social media and she's putting out a lot of thirst trap stuff. That's problematic. That's a chick that constantly needs other male validation outside of her relationship. Those are the kind of chicks that tend to always look for the next bigger and better thing, you know? All right. The third one that he has on here, she has lots of male friends hanging around, especially exes and other men who obviously want to screw her. Yeah, that's a big thing too. And it's funny because a lot of chicks, especially when I put out videos talking about how men and women can't truly be friends, right? The only way it works is if the guy has no sexual interest in the woman. That's the only way it could absolutely work, I think, in my opinion. Because I have female friends. I have a one that she's actually been on the podcast before. Her name is Tyrene, and she and I trained for a marathon in 2021, and so she's sort of like a running partner, and but I have no sexual interest in Tyrene. She's into smoking pot. She just her lifestyle doesn't jive with mine at all, so she's never really been a prospect in my mind. So friend zone. Friend zone. But if it goes the other way around, right, where the chick friend zones the guy and he still wants a piece of that, he's just waiting around for an opportunity, man. He's just waiting around for an opportunity. All right. If she gives you a blowjob in the front seat of your car on a first date, I say that's a total win, guys. That's a total win. Isn't that the genuine desire thing that everyone's talking about? What do you think? If she gives you a blowjob in the front seat of your car on a first date, is that a red flag to you guys? Sound off in the comments. Say something in the comments. For me, that's kind of the goal. She's super friendly. She's just super friendly. She wants to fuse really quickly. Yeah. Fuse really quickly. So Dr. Robert Glover talks about this concept of fusion in dating essentials for men. And what that is when two people start spending a lot of time together, right? Their personalities start to fuse into one sort of singular personality. You start noticing that you take on the other person's traits. You start taking on their mannerisms a little bit. They take on your mannerisms. You start slowly becoming people that you weren't originally attracted to in the first place. My man says she's passionate. That's right. So yeah, if a chick really is like trying to lock you down too quick, I would say that's kind of could be a red flag, right? One of the things he talks about too is that these could be yellow flags, not necessarily red flags as well. But then again, like I said at the beginning, all these are subjective. So yeah, if she's really pushing for that relationship after like one or two dates, that kind of tells me that she's pretty clingy. She probably has codependency issues. She's probably not healthy mentally. So I would agree with that. She has a lot of horror stories about her past relationships. And he says, you will be soon added to her list. I mean, this is actually one of the reasons why guys, I recommend to guys not to talk about their past relationships on dates. It's like one of the quickest ways to dry up a vagina is talk about your previous relationships, and then like sometimes chicks will press you though, like they really want to know. So what I always say is like, look, if she like won't let it go, put a positive spin on it, right? And then sort of change the subject. But one of the things that chicks are looking for is if you're talking a lot of shit about your exes, she knows that if you guys break up, like you're going to be talking a lot of shit about her too. So it's not a good practice at all to be talking a bunch of smack about your exes. I talk about my exes on here quite a bit, but I try not to like really slam them too much. I actually, look at those relationships like what could I have done better. I try to look at it from that perspective because you can't change other people. So if you have that kind of mentality, it's pretty easy to not talk trash about your exes. So yeah, if she's doing that, she's going to be talking trash about you here in a couple of months. The next one is she is unpredictable and inconsistent. Isn't that most women? Like, that's like most women, man. Most women are flaky as hell. I had a dating coach friend of mine a couple of weeks ago on one of these live streams, and we were talking about dating principles, and we're talking about flaky chicks, right? Chicks flaking out last minute. And it's like, you know, you can do all sorts of things. You can do everything right, and chicks will still flake out with you. You know, they're just naturally flaky people. Oh, let's see. Oh, George Brewer says, as alpha male strategy said, I'd never kiss a woman on the first date at night because you don't know where her lips were before she's with you that day. I always go, see, I'm one of those guys that I always go for a kiss on the first date, but I'm not always trying to push for sex on the first date. I like to look at kissing. I look at kissing as the ultimate test of interest. So if you like a girl, go for that kiss, you know, and then that also lets her know right away that you're not trying to be her friend. And, you know, you're not trying to fuck her on the first date. I mean, you could, like, it's possible. It's not like, you know, you can't fuck on the first date. That's not what your goal is. But my goal is always to date and spin plates until I found the right plate. So that strategy worked really well for me. And chicks will put out by the second or third date on average. So you don't have to try to fuck them on the first date. You'll get them on the second or third. And if they don't put out by then, you know, red flag, right? That's not really a red flag. It's just like, she's just not interested, in my opinion. She lacks accountability. Again, isn't that all women? Come on, lacks accountability. I'm just kidding. There's chicks out there that actually do have a sense of self accountability. Those chicks are few and far between, but they're out there. I've met a few. My girlfriend's like that. She lies, is deceitful, and regularly tells half truths. Yeah, I would say, I mean, just generally a dishonest person. You might not weed that out on the first or second date. That's something that might come along after a few dates. You might start noticing like inconsistencies with her stories and stuff like that. Let's see here. She is frequently angry. Yeah, I mean, that's a red flag for anybody, I would say. Have any of you guys had a girl that was just always pissed off? I don't think I've ever met a chick that's always pissed off necessarily. That's more of a male trait. I mean, a chick would really have to be in her masculine to be pissed off all the time. Like guys sort of default to anger, women sort of default to sadness. So I would say if she's crying all the damn time, that's a red flag too. Right? She is moody. God damn, like Dr. Glover is just like, he's just calling out all women here, right? Like women are moody, but that's because like women, you know, their emotions fluctuate like the weather. So a lot of chicks can be moody and temperamental, and that could change on a dime. So I don't know, is that really a red flag, or is that just women being women? What do you think? Sound off in the comments. You guys are awfully quiet. She makes crazy accusations against you. Yeah, I would say that's kind of a problematic one. If she's making accusations, you know, she's probably a pretty insecure person. She probably, you know, has trust issues. You know, she's probably seeing things that aren't there. You know, she probably, you know, accusing you of cheating all the time and stuff like that. That would be annoying to be around. Someone that just, you know, didn't give me the benefit of the doubt all the time and just was always questioning what I did. That'd be awful. She is jealous. You know, a chick should have a healthy level of jealousy, I think. That's right. Like a storm wave crashing down after a previous day's calm day. That's women, man. Yeah. So jealous. Yeah. I mean, if a chick should have a little bit of jealousy, right? Like if she's doesn't have a slight bit of jealousy, like, does she really care about you? You know, that's something you got to kind of ask yourself. I mean, this is subjective. I mean, if she doesn't have a little bit of jealousy too, then like dread game doesn't work that well, does it? right? Because she's like, I don't care. I don't care. You're paying my bills. I don't care what you're doing with that dick, you know? But if she's a little bit jealous, I mean, at least shows that she cares. Now, there could be an unhealthy level of jealousy, I think. So I think if she was just, constantly going through your phone and like, snooping through your emails and stuff like that, because going back to this other one, right? She makes crazy accusations. This falls in line with that, right? She's probably a super jealous person, super insecure. That's not someone you want to be around. She has you know, unhealthy attachment issues. Oh, this is a good point. If she accuses you of something, you can bet that she's done it before with other men. She didn't start it with you. This is a pattern. Yeah, that's probably true. All right. She's on her phone a lot and or lacks courtesy before taking a call. Man, that's a problem with a lot of people these days, right? Our phones are basically like drugs, We get dopamine hits from all the stuff that we do on our phones. Like most of us are addicted to our phones. I'm totally addicted. I'll admit it right here. I'm addicted to, checking on my social medias and stuff. And, I get alerts or whatever. I have to actively, say, you know what, I'm going to put this phone down and, read a book or whatever. I have to actively do that because my mind's like, it wants that constant dopamine hit. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people like that. But if you're on a date with someone and they can't put that phone down and just focus on you and the conversation, they're just sitting there like, I would call the waitress over and be like, we're done here. It's like that's the word. It's just rude, it's just rude behavior. And yeah, and I mean, if like people are calling her and stuff like that, and she's just like in the middle of talking to you, wants to pick up the phone and talk to other people, it's like if that's not work related, like if you're on call, maybe I would accept that. So my girlfriend's a hospice nurse, and she periodically has to be on call. Like last night, we were going to go down to the gym, and she got a call for work. She has to take that. She has to take that. She has to go do a house call. Like, I get that. That's not being rude. That's her job. But if it's just, her friend Sally, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's one of the reasons why I hate phones. I hate talking to people on the phone. Like send me a text message or like a voice message over text, because I don't want to have to stop what I'm doing to talk to you. And maybe I'm a dick for that, but it's like, just send me a message. I'll get back to you when I can. I think that's just more considerate of other people's time. I don't even like talking to my own mom on the phone. My mom calls me all the time too, because she's old school. Like she doesn't do the texting thing. So my mom will call me at like just the most awkward times. And whenever I get a phone call, I'm like, oh, is it an emergency? Like, I think it's an emergency if you're calling me. And she calls me and she just wants to talk about, her dog or whatever. I'm just like, what are you doing right now? I don't know. I'll see you when I go over to your house. I'm a dick. All right. She calls you names or is otherwise verbally abusive. Yeah, I would say that's a huge red flag. And usually something like that doesn't come up in like the first couple of dates either. I don't think. Like usually that kind of name calling, verbal abusive stuff comes after maybe 6 months to a year, because usually people are on their best behavior, when they're initially dating, those first 6 months to a year. And then after about that time, that's when people's true personalities come out, So if you can make it past that year mark and there's still somewhat the same person that you met, that's usually a pretty good sign. But otherwise, like this sort of thing, like you're not going to know right away. Oh, see, I don't know about this, man. Give me your phone and your pen if she hesitates. She's got something to hide. I mean, that might be true, but that to me says something about the guy. I think that's kind of insecure. If you can't trust your girl that much, I'm one of those people that likes to sort of give people the benefit of the doubt until they show me that they they're sneaking around and stuff like that. Then it's like, you don't need to check her phone. If you got that sinking suspicion that she's doing something, like it's probably just best to call it a quits then. You don't need to go through people's phones. My personal opinion. I've never talked to Donovan though. It would be nice to talk to him sometime. Let's see here. She has little or no interest in sex. That is a big deal, right? Because sex is so big for guys. Sex really is the glue that holds relationships together. And if she's not interested in having sex, it's like, look, I'm not looking for a roommate here. I'm not looking for friends. You know, I dated a gal like that for a little bit. You know, like early on in the relationship, she was DTF, but I don't know. She had some problems in her past. You know, so mentally she just wasn't that into it, right? And that happens. You know, that's unfortunate. But man, it was just like, she was really, down for like the first month and a half. And then after that, she really started, being cold and frigid. It's like, look, I'm not, whatever your past problems are not my fault. And if you don't want to do this, that's fine. But, I'm not here trying to, rack up roommates or, like I need that in a healthy relationship. And maybe it's time that we split up. So we did. I broke up with her. I wouldn't say this. I mean, it's not a red flag, but it's just not going to lead anywhere, because I look at red flags as like a real negative, right? Like she's kind of a bad person internally. Like her just have no interest in sex. It just, to me, just says like, we're just not compatible. She's not into me. And that's fine. Like not every chick, I don't care what any dating coach out here says, right? Not every chick's going to be into you, and that's fine. Your goal isn't trying to convince these chicks to be into you. Your goal, in my opinion, is to find mutual interest and walk through open doors. Because we all want that genuine desire that everyone keeps talking about. All right, she's in a relationship or in the process of ending one, but cannot seem to get all the way out. Yeah, to me that's a huge red flag. Now, guys in the red pill space, they try to leave like the morals on the table, right? So fine. But personally, if a chick is willing to cheat on her current boyfriend or husband or whatever with me, she's going to cheat on me. It's like once a cheater, always a cheater. And then some people say, well, that's not always true. No, but it's a good indicator. It's definitely a good indicator. All right. She does not get along with other women. Is that a red flag? I would say that there's a lot of women that prefer to hang out with men because men tend to be less drama. But chicks need to hang out with good female friends outside of the relationship for their mental health, I think. Men, likewise, need to find good, solid male friends, a tribe, as it were, that they can go and talk to for their own mental health outside of their relationships. That way, the two of you guys aren't dropping your baggage on each other all the time, because that's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make, especially men. Men notoriously suck at this. They have no friends outside the relationship. They have no one they can talk to. And so they dump all their crap on their wife or their girlfriend, and their wife or their girlfriend's not their therapist. She's not your mom. That's not her job. And if you do that enough, she's going to lose attraction for you, and she's going to eventually leave. I know from experience. And so it's funny, like when I first started learning about this stuff, I learned it from, Dr. Glover, No More Mr. Nice Guy. I realized like that was me in my first, the relationships that got me to this space, right? I was that guy. I used these women sort of as like emotional tampons when I had a bad day and dump my baggage on them. It's like, women don't give a shit. Women don't care about your problems. So just accept that, acknowledge it, and save it for your boys or your therapist, Let's see here. She does not have many female friends. We said that. Oh no, actually he said she does not get along with other women, and then the next one is she does not have many female friends. I think that goes hand in hand. She gets her news from social media. Honestly, I don't think that's a red flag at all. I don't think that's a red flag at all. What do you guys say? What do you guys say? Is that a problem that she gets her news from social media? And the reason why I say that's not a problem is that, yeah, I agree with that. Most guys have been raised to be nice guys, 100%. She gets her news from social media. Now, the reason why I don't think that's a problem, right? And I put out a tweet about this yesterday, is that too many of us like watch the news too much, right? And you'll find that if you stop watching the news, your life gets better. It's amazing. It's because a lot of the stuff in the news is sort of designed to keep us, living in fear and living with uncertainty. And so that we want to watch the news to see what happens next, right? A lot of it's negative, and that negativity brings eyes in, right? If it bleeds, it leads, they say. So that negativity keeps us addicted to these shows, and we keep coming back for more. But largely the stuff that they report on has no bearing on your day-to-day life, right? A lot of this crap that they talk about in Washington really doesn't impact you on your day-to-day life, if you think about it, right? If you stop watching the news for the next month, you'll realize that that you're not missing anything. So I personally, I checked out of the news about 2 years ago, like right around the time of the lockdowns, because everything was bullshit back then. It still is. And I realized, like, oh my God, I used to watch the news and like politics and all that kind of stuff. Like most people watch the NFL, right? So I got out of that. I stopped paying attention to politics so much, and I've just been mentally so much happier. So the only news I do get is probably on Twitter. Like occasionally I'll see something that pops up that I'm like, oh, look at that. And but I don't let it ruin my day. I don't let it sort of rule my life anymore. So I don't think that's a red flag at all that she gets her news from social media. It's actually probably a good thing. She does not read. Um, to me, that's not necessarily a red flag either, because I mean, I like to read, clearly, but a lot of people don't like to read, you know. But my ex-wife, when I first met her, had never finished a book in her life. And I was like, what? Like, what about in high school when like you have to read these novels and do book reports? She said she would, get the Cliff's notes and bullshit it. And she had never actually read a book until she met me. And then we got some novels from the library. And she read her first novel. She's like, oh my God, it's like a movie in my mind. It's like, yeah, that's the idea. But yeah, some people just don't read. I don't think that's necessarily a red flag. She has little or no intellectual curiosity. I don't think that's necessarily a red flag either. I had a couple of my date coach clients, my Patreon guys. Oh, and if you haven't done so, guys, I haven't brought it up again, but join the Patreon if you want the date coaching or life coaching type stuff. It's pretty affordable. But a couple of my Patreon guys, both of them said the same thing. They were dating these chicks that had like nothing going on for them. They just seemed, to them, this would have probably been a red flag. And but I told them, I go, you shouldn't really worry so much about what chicks are into or what they're not into, because you really should be focused on what you're into. And if you're into cool stuff, invite chicks along for the ride. They'll follow your lead. If you're really into reading and these chicks aren't, they'll, if they're, good, solid chicks that follow your lead, they'll get into reading. They'll see that you do it all the time. You talk about stuff. You're very well read. They'll get into it. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Chicks are good about that, where they sort of pick up things from the guys that they date. And she could be picking up good habits from you. She has no interest in physical activities or fitness. That would be huge for me. I run 3 days a week. I go to the gym and lift 2 days a week. And I like to go hiking on the weekends. Like, I'm a very active guy. And if I'm not hiking on the weekends, I'm out riding my mountain bike or something. I like to be outdoors doing physical activities. And a chick that's not into maybe physical activities, but if she's not into fitness at all, and she just likes to just drink and hang out on the couch, that's a chick that's going to be pleasantly plump someday. And do you really want that? I don't. I'm not into big boned chicks. He has here, she eats like shit. She just eat nachos every day, just cheeseburgers. That's generally an unhealthy person. I love junk food. I just choose not to eat it because if I look at something unhealthy, I mean, some might say that energy drinks are unhealthy, but I don't give a shit. It's only 10 calories. It's got like no carbs, so leave me alone. But yeah, I mean, if I just stare at a donut long enough, I'll gain 5 pounds. It's in my mom's side of the family's genetics. So yeah, man, like I can't do it. So if a chick's eating like crap all the time, I'm also sort of like a recovering food addict. I'll start eating like shit all the time. So it's just not a good combination. She does not get along with family members. Yeah, that would be a problem. That would be a problem. She's sort of the black sheep of the family. She has an eating disorder. That's a big deal. I mean, eating disorders, by themselves, it's a mental issue. That shows that she definitely has some mental issues. She has spent years in therapy. Do you guys think that's a bad thing, or is that a good thing? Does that show that she's trying to work on herself, or does that show that she's just habitually crazy? What do you think? Because I mean, honestly, I think a lot of guys that follow red pill content could probably use some therapy, So I don't think therapy in general is a bad thing. But I guess if she's been doing it for years and hasn't, fixed her own shit, that could be a problem. She wants to regularly process her drama and trauma. Yeah, basically she's dumping her baggage on you, right? That's not good either. You're not her therapist. That would drain me mentally if someone was just constantly dumping their drama and shit on me all the time. The thing is, though, a lot of women do want their men to listen to them, right? It's like it doesn't work the other way around, right? They might say that they care, they might say that they want to listen, but that only goes for so long. But women do tend to want guys to listen. They don't want us to solve their problem, though. We're just supposed to go, and how's that make you feel? I told you that bitch crazy, But we're not supposed to solve the problem, even though there's usually a clear problem or a clear solution to the problem. She doesn't want to hear that. She basically wants to be their sounding board and just go, yeah, I bet you that made you feel really frustrated, didn't it? It's funny. They call this this book Chick Crack, but I read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus several years ago. It's a real short book. I think it's only like two hours long if you listen on audio. And the biggest takeaway from that book I got was that both men and women don't want the other to solve the problem, right? But for different reasons, right? Guys don't want unsolicited advice from their girl because that's like she's stepping on our manhood. She doesn't trust us to handle the problem, right? So that's what we feel. It's like an ego protection thing. But girls don't want our advice because they just want us to listen. They just want to know that someone's listening and understanding them. It's kind of funny. So if you're one of the few women out there watching this, don't give your guy unsolicited advice. He doesn't want it. And vice versa. If she's constantly pointing out your shortcomings, That would be a big deal for me. Because I mean that just tells me like what she really thinks about me. You know what I mean? And it also tells me that she doesn't have that genuine desire, that magic genuine desire that everyone's talking about. If she's always pointing out your shortcomings, she doesn't think that highly of you. You should really take that into consideration on whether you want to keep that relationship going, because I think that you're not going to see that right away. That's one of those things that you're not going to see until you get a few months into the relationship, if she starts pointing out your shortcomings. Now, I mean, on the first couple of dates, a chick might take little jabs at you, but that's shit test. She's just seeing it like how you handle it. But if you've been dating for a while and she just like complains about, your hair's thinning or, whatever, that's her inner thoughts about problems that she doesn't like about you. And, I mean, she doesn't like you that much. She constantly questions or judges your actions or beliefs. That sounds like my ex-wife. Yeah. Yeah. A chick that didn't trust me to lead, that just wouldn't so it's weird. You hear churches now telling women that they need to let their husbands or let their boyfriends lead the relationship. Well, if you're letting him lead, then he wasn't in charge in the first place. Right? So, guys, if you're out there dating, what you really need to be doing is testing a woman's ability to follow your lead. Right? And you do that sort of thing, like you do that from the beginning. You start telling her to do things, right? Not like a dick, but like when I set up dates, I tell chicks, hey, meet me at this place at this time on this day. I don't say, hey, would you like to meet me here? Or what do you think about this? I say, meet me here. I'm telling them what to do. And if they put up resistance to that, well, they just aren't very good followers. And they're probably not good relationship material. It tells you everything you need to know when you do that sort of thing. So, so if she's questioning or judging my actions or beliefs, that means she doesn't trust my leadership in the relationship, and it's not going to work out. She likes to start fights, guys. It's funny. If you read Rollo's latest book, The Player's Handbook, one of the game maxims that he has in there talks about how women crave indignation, right? Women will start fights with you because they need that dopamine hit. Athol K also talks about it in his Married Man Sex Primer book. Talks about how women like to start little fights to get that dopamine hit that they need, because women are crazy. like George says here, the hot crazy matrix, right? Chicks are crazy. If they're not at least number 4 crazy, well, then you're dating a dude. So, chicks do like to start fights, often over little things, so that when you guys have that makeup sex, you can hate fuck them, and they like that. So, but if they do that too much, yeah, I would say that's a red flag. That's a chick that craves drama. She's a poor listener and only talks about herself. Yeah, that's a problem. A lot of us do that. I'm guilty of that too. And that's one of the things I had to sort of like unlearn when I was going through the dating process, was to take a genuine interest in the other person and not just try to think of what I'm going to say next about myself. And one of the things that came to my mind when I was working on that was my former father-in-law. My former father-in-law was the kind of guy that really didn't give a shit what you had to say. He was just waiting for an opportunity to talk about himself. And that's annoying. That's annoying to be around. So if you are aware that you have the tendencies to do the same thing, the only way to become aware of it is like, listening to this right now where I'm talking about it, because you need to look back and say, do I do that? And if you do that, now you need to sort of be on the lookout for it and sort of consciously be like, am I the kind of guy that like just likes to talk about my stuff all the time, my shit all the time? I guarantee I still do that with my girlfriend, but that's because my girlfriend doesn't talk. Guys, I have the best girlfriend of all time, man. If I sat for 2 hours, she wouldn't say a word. Most guys would be like, "That's amazing." Yeah. Yeah, except for when you want to have a conversation. It's like, how is it? Come on, babe. Come on. And then she talks. She's just a quiet person. It's okay. Let's see here. She's a poor listener, only talks about herself. She never seems curious about you. That's someone, same thing. It's someone that it is only wrapped up in their own crap. Yeah. To the tune of A Small World. Yeah. Me. Exactly. It's annoying. That's what they call a narcissist, right, guys? Narcissist. Yeah, I hate the term narcissist though. Like that's a word that's overused, and most people aren't diagnosed narcissists, right? That's just something that everyone calls their ex. All right. She has money issues. Yeah. A chick that has really bad credit, they're $30,000 in credit card debt because they buy stupid shit like shoes. They have like a whole closet full of shoes that they can't afford. That's bad juju. You don't need that in your life. But it's also one of the reasons why, one, I'll never get married again. And two, I'll never share bank accounts with a chick again, because that's on you, sister. I got my own money. All right. She is highly reactive to sensory stimuli. Is that a red flag? I don't know. I'm trying to think of a situation where that would be. Would that be like you go to a rave and there's like strobe lights and shit, and she's what's it called? She has a seizure. Is that what he's talking about? Yeah, chick that has epileptic seizures. That's a red flag. All right. She seems wrapped up in her kids. Now, this is funny that he puts this in here because, like I said, Rich Cooper's list, he has single moms. Single moms is a red flag for Rich Cooper. So if she's wrapped up in her kids, that means she's a single mom. It's so funny, though, because like Rich Cooper hates single moms so much that not only are they listed on his list of red flags in his book, he has a whole entire chapter of why single moms suck. And I'm one of the few guys in the space that, like, I don't hate on single moms, actually, like, because I'm a single dad myself. So I prefer dating single moms because they sort of understand when I can't date for an entire week because I have my kids. It only works, though, if they're on the same parenting schedule. I'll tell you that right now. And no one says that you have to parent her kids and vice versa. So have that agreement up front, have that boundary. Everything's fine. You don't have to worry about that. But if she's like too wrapped up in her kids, like a helicopter mom, that's a problem. She is constantly looking around and cannot keep eye contact. Ooh, she's shifty-eyed. You can't trust someone that's shifty-eyed. They have to be able to maintain that eye contact. Is that a red flag to you? Have they, though? Have they? I don't know. I mean, I'm a single dad. Does that mean I refuse to be in a relationship with somebody? I don't know about that. The eye contact thing, though. You know what, though? A lot of guys can't make eye contact. One of the things I tell guys to do is to look into a woman's left eye, focus on her left eye. So my right, your left eye. Now I learned that from, I believe it was David Data, right? If you focus on a chick's left eye, I don't know if there's any validity to this, right? I'm just put that out there, but it seems to work really well. But the concept is that's her like emotional eye. That's the eye that, really builds a connection because it's connected to her right brain. And so if you just focus on a chick's like left eye, you're at the bare minimum making eye contact, and eye contact is really powerful. And like, you don't even have to say that much. If you make really good eye contact, like chicks are just like, wow, this is amazing. But if she can't hold that eye contact, if she's always like looking away or whatever, I don't know if that's a red flag, but that's definitely someone that is sort of like just mentally tells me is untrustworthy. Just could be that she's just uncomfortable with eye contact. A lot of people are. Go out there and like make eye contact with people. Like you'll find that you're testing your own, uh, you know, comfort level, right? You're going to have to step outside your comfort zone to make eye contact with total strangers. You'll find that it doesn't make you comfortable. it's not a comfortable feeling, and that's because of how powerful it is. All right. And then let's see here. She has issues with work, holding a job, and getting along with her coworkers. Yeah, I would say that's a red flag. Because you know what? A chick that can't hold on to a job, that's a chick that's looking for you to take care of her. She's looking for you to be her wallet. My ex-wife was like that. Not that she couldn't hold a job if she didn't want to, but she was always looking for a reason to quit so that she could be a stay-at-home mom, even before she was an actual mom, right? This was like a big red flag that I overlooked early on. I was still in the Navy when she and I got together, and we rushed into marriage, right? So that was another big problem. But one of the things that she did was she was going to college, and she asked if she could, take a year or take a semester off from work so she can really focus on college and her studies. And I was like, yeah, babe, whatever you want. And so I had to get a second job to make ends meet, because I was only like at E3 at the time, maybe an E4 at the time in the military, which is like not very much money. So I got a job moonlighting as a security guard to help the bills, to help pay the bills. And man, like I was exhausted because I was working all the time just so that she could do that. Ooh, accidentally clicked that. So anyways, I was working like 2 jobs so that she could do that. And I was just like, eventually I was like, I can't do this. I was getting in trouble with my command because I was showing up late to muster and stuff. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. But yes, as soon as our daughter was born, she was like, I called her up, and I got a promotion at work, and I was like, hey, I got that promotion I've been working for. And the first words out of her mouth weren't congratulations, or I'm so proud of you, or you're working so hard for that. It was, can I quit my job? So yeah, huge red flag, guys. You don't want a chick like that. She's just looking for early retirement. All right. And then the last one, she has more than 2 cats. I just thought that one was funny. I have 2 cats myself. I love them to death. But is that a red flag for you if a chick has more than 2 cats? I know her house probably smells like shit. If you have more than 2 cats, like you're risking cats spraying everywhere. All right. Well, because we're reading out Dr. Glover's book, I'd like to plug it for him. Just as a shout out, it's Dating Essentials for Men, FAQ. It's a really good book. It's pretty fascinating. There's all these guys in there that have various issues, and they're asking him questions about these things, and his answers to them are pretty enlightening. Like Dr. Glover is a really smart guy. I love his work. If you didn't know, I had the opportunity to interview him near the end of the year in 2021. So go through my channel and watch that interview. There's a lot of really good gems in there, because a lot of guys, when they interviewed Dr. Glover, I found leading up to that interview, is they only want to talk about No More Mr. Nice Guy. But which I talked to him a little bit about No More Mr. Nice Guy. But I really wanted to focus on his second book, Dating Essentials for Men, because that book was an even better book for me. Probably because I was out there trying to date, and his techniques for dating are probably the best out there. If you're one of those guys that just, hates the grind of dating, his methodology for just going out, generally being social, talking to everyone you meet, and just being a guy that's building a great cake of a life for yourself, it's almost like, it's like passive dating. You find that you start meeting people organically, you start looking for signs of interest, and you test people for interest. And if they don't have interest, you move on. No harm, no foul. That's just what you do during the day. But if you do find people that have interest, then you continue testing. He has like 3 levels of testing. And at that 3rd level, you require something of somebody, right? Like, give me your number, that sort of thing. Or, I'm going around the corner here to a bar, come with me, that sort of thing, right? That's the 3rd test. You're requiring something of somebody. And if they go with you, you know that they really are interested, and you walk through these open doors. So his stuff is life-changing work for me. So check out his book, Dating Essentials for Men, FAQ. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, guys. I really appreciate it. The guys in the chat that chimed in, that made this conversation go a little more smoothly. I don't like necessarily just talking to myself. So you guys in the chat are helping out the show. You guys are a part of the show, so I appreciate that. All right. Tune in Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I'm going to talk about how I used the principles that I teach in my Practical Law of Attraction course to get on Rule 0. It wasn't magic, okay? It wasn't magic. It wasn't a genie granting wishes here, okay, guys? And I'm going to explain that. I'll walk you guys through that process, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. It'll make more sense why I call my course the Practical Law of Attraction. All right. Other than that, hit me up on socials. Put those up here again. The links for all these are in the description as well. And also join the Patreon. Support the show. If you guys don't want to join the Patreon, because the Patreon is subscription based, you guys can hop on these lives and send super chats. That helps out too. It's a one-time thing, and I appreciate those as well. Be sure to get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com, and I will send you guys some free stickers for your troubles. All right. Other than that, we'll see you guys on Friday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.